Welcome to the third podcast of Millinery.Info. Today we're speaking with Catherine Allen, the owner of The Essential Hat in High Street, Paran in Melbourne, and the founder of the Melbourne International Millinery Competition, also known as MIMC. 2017 is going to be the first year that MIMC has run, and today we speak with Catherine about the development of the project. Thank you for joining us today, Catherine, in your beautiful hat shop in Melbourne, Australia. Could you tell us a little bit about the concept of where the competition came from?
Hello, Lauren. It's lovely to have you here too, as always. The competition came about after a little bit of discussion last year amongst the team. In previous years, we opened up our window in February to display hats by Australian milliners who'd taken part in the Oaks Day competition at Flemington. And we had a really good response the first couple of years, but this year we only had a few. So I did wonder what we could do to improve that, or what other event we could hold if this one wasn't so popular. Because February for me is quite a quiet month, and I need to have some interest. So we decided that we would ask international milliners if they would like to display their hats as an exhibition. And then I thought, well, if we're going to have people send us their hats, why don't we have a competition? And then all of a sudden we had these grand ideas about having this enormous international competition and flying people over and asking Philip Tracy, etc., etc. And of course, like all big ideas, they get pulled back a little. And but we do have the competition is now open and running. Registrations are coming in. We have about 53 people registered already, and about half of those are from Australia, about half of them from international. In fact, yesterday we had an entry from Japan, which was great, and the Japanese are terrific with their hats. We've got someone from India, Belgium, Germany, Denmark, all sorts of places, America, etc. So, and we'll have more coming in. So I'm really excited about the international field that we'll have.
Fantastic. So who's eligible to send you a hat?
Send you a hat. Anyone who wants to make a hat anywhere in the world can send a hat. So it doesn't matter if you're a student, an amateur milliner, whether you're a full-time professional. Goodness me, if you're Stephen Jones, you can send us a hat, but I'm sure you'll never hear about it. But for example, we have some big name milliners sending us hats. We have Louise McDonald from Melbourne, and Felicity Northeast as well, who's got a very high profile in Melbourne. And there are more, and I can give you their names so that I don't have to think about them.
Yeah. So are there particular categories within the competition?
We decided that we wouldn't set up categories this year. We thought this year we'd start off small. If it becomes a popular competition, and we do it again next year and the year after, based on the number of entries, we'll see if we need to split that, because we really don't know what's going to be sent to us yet. We might get half the people sending felt hats and half people sending straw hats, in which case that would be a really natural category to form. We might get half of the people as amateurs or students and the other half as professionals or semi-professionals, and again that might be a natural category, but we won't really know until we've been through this first year. But yeah, if we can do categories and get more prizes, then of course.
And who is judging the competition?
Breaking news.
How exciting.
Millinery.Info, you're always the first to know. One of our judges is Serena Lindemann. Many of you know Serena. She hosts two very well what's named Facebook groups.
She's founder of the Millinery.
Yeah, she's the administrator of the Milliners Facebook group and also the International Milliners Showcase group. So a lot of people know Serena. She's also the millinery teacher at our local TAFE, our Training Fashion Institute. So she's the one that teaches all these millinery techniques to the new students. So she should know what to look for when we're looking at the technical aspect. So I'm really happy to have her on board. The other judge that I've managed to get is the president of the Millinery Association of Australia, Rose Hudson. Rose Hudson is not so well known in fashion millinery, but she's certainly well known in theatrical millinery. She's been working as a milliner for over 30 years, I think, and she also runs her own private school, the very, very, very strict School of Millinery, which some of you may have heard of also.
Is there a particular criteria that you have laid out for the judges' selection?
The judges, oh, back from my corporate days, we used to do prioritization matrices.
This is sounding very formal.
Oh gosh, it's so it's a funny old thing. You work out what you want to judge the hats on. So technical ability, style, originality. There was one other I can't remember, and then you put a weight as to each of those. So what's more important, originality or technical ability? And once you've weighted those, then you go to every single hat and you judge each hat against each other hat on every category. And then you run it through this Excel program and you come out with an answer.
And hopefully it's the right one.
But you know what? You know what happens when you see hats coming out on stage? There's always that one that is just, you just know it's the one. That may happen, it may not, but you know, we'll use good judgment. We might find that there's someone who just makes the most fantastic looking hat, but doesn't, you know, it's not really put together as well as I would have thought it should, and maybe we'll end up giving first prize to that as an encouragement, or maybe we'll have a special encouragement award, I don't know.
Yet to be determined. So in terms of, I've seen on the website there are some fabulous partnerships lined up. Can you tell us who you've been able to partner with this event?
Well, the very first sponsor, as always, of these things is House of Dawn. Kim, she just jumps at the chance to help us out with these things, which is wonderful. So she's giving us several $100s worth of materials and tools. Hat Blocks Australia, Daryl and Doug are also giving away a voucher for a hat block. And of course that's a terrific thing to have a voucher because it can be mailed anywhere in the world. Guy Morse Brown, a hat block maker in the UK, has also given us, I think, £400 voucher. There's an offshoot of Guy Morse Brown, which is Hat Talk, and they've also sponsoring us and have a subscription for us. The Hat Magazine, of course, as always. Carol's very generous with supporting this sort of thing. Somebody else, I can't remember. Oh, the Essential Hat. Oh, let me tell you about the Essential Hat.
Tell us more about the Essential Hat.
Oh, the Essential Hat, a renowned hat shop in France. The Essential Hat, which is my little business, and of course, you know, this is my little competition we're putting together. So there will be a $1,000 cash prize for first prize and a $500 cash second prize. And I think you need to really push for good prizes and big prizes in order to get, you know, the fantastic entrance. So I'm really happy to save my pennies and put towards that for a terrific competition.
It's fantastic. So what happens once the hats arrive at the shop? What happens with them?
All right, well, that is a good question. Oh, I must remember to tell you, we also have just got on board the Hat Academy. Yeah, we wanted some sort of educational prize, but I couldn't afford to fly someone to Chateau de Mar or someone from Europe over to Hats Off in Adelaide, but Elaine came up with a voucher for online education, and so that just works so well. Thank you, Elaine. Yeah, brilliant.
That's fantastic because it's an online service, so you can access it from anywhere.
Anywhere
and that's
in
what
the
the
world.
great advantage of them is
Exactly.
remote-wise for people who don't have access to classes. It's online.
Yeah.
Anyone can get to it.
Yeah, it's terrific. It's terrific. So when the hats arrive, and we've already had one arrive, they're obviously ticked off in a database that they've arrived. At the moment, they are just going in the storeroom, unopened. The point being is that if I open a box now and look at a hat, I've got that hat in my head for longer than the hat that comes in the beginning of January, and it's unfair. So we will open all the boxes together after the closing date. The entries are already numbered. That happens automatically when you register. So the hats will be photographed and numbered and recorded and photographed so that we have a record of them, and we can use some of those photographs for promotion, to show what we've had come in, and then the judging will be set up and begun. I still need another couple of judges as well, so I'm still thinking about who that's going to be, because I'd like someone more from our customer base, maybe from the Jewish community, as well as the racing community, because there's a lot of different people who wear hats in this town.
And it's not necessarily for Melbourne. Melbourne Cup is such a key player, but there are hats for all occasions, so it's not necessarily focused on a spring carnival hat necessarily.
Not at all, especially with half of the hats coming from overseas. You know, it'll be completely different. Yeah,
it's fantastic. So how can someone enter if they're interested?
If you would like to enter the competition, you can go to our website, which is mimc.com.au, mimc.com.au, and you can register as a milliner, fill in your details, let us know where you're from, and there's a registration fee, and that will all come through to me, and I will be sending out more details about the competition as they come up.
And when do people's hats need to get to you by?
They need to be here by the 27th of January 2017.
That's very exciting. That will be a very busy day.
Yes, it will be.
And I also see you've got a partnership with the National Trust, and you have an event happening at Labasa House.
Yes, it's a different sort of partnership, not necessarily a sponsorship. We did an exhibition with the Millinery Association last year, and it went down very, very well. Labasa is a historic mansion in Melbourne, in the suburbs. They only open it one day a month, the third Sunday of the month. And we were invited to show our hats, so we brought lots of theatrical hats in and spring racing hats and showed them around, and the National Trust's numbers went up. They made more money in their tea room than they ever had done before, you know, about 300%. So they're very keen to do it again and get themselves on the National Trust map. So I've applied to have an evening event following their open day in February. So we'll do an open day exhibition of all of the hats, as many as we can get in there, and visitors to Labasa, the historic mansion, will be able to view the hats free of charge, just as part of their entry to the house. And then in the evening we have a ticketed event, which will be a catwalk, where we can have about 80 people, and we'll have a little bit of nibbles and bubbles to see us on our way, and show the finalists on our catwalk and announce the winners and give out the prizes.
And Labasa have that up on the National Trust website already?
Yes, it's on the National Trust website. We also, if you want to buy tickets to the evening event, they are now online. That was put up this morning. So that is $30 a ticket, and as I said, there's only 80 of them. So
an exclusive event?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And if you're an entrant and you are going to submit a hat, you also need to buy a ticket for the event?
You do, if you want to come to the evening. That's a very good question, Lauren, because we're tossing up this idea of, is entry to the finale included in the ticket, and it would be very unfair on international entrants if we did that, because they wouldn't be able to come, most of them. So we have split that fee.
Do you have any tips for entrants with their pieces?
Tips? Yeah, do something I haven't seen before. Do something interesting. Maybe even something. Maybe a simple hat with a different type of material, or maybe a completely different hat but using traditional millinery materials. A few years ago I made the macaroon hat, which was something completely different but used traditional sisal materials, and that was a very joyful sort of a hat. It's about surprise, and it's about the ooh-ah moment, and it's also about fabulous technical ability too.
Is there any other competition like MIMC developed out in the world?
I don't know about the rest. Well, It's a difficult thing to compare, but of course, we have a competition with the Millinery Association, which is members only. There's another millinery competition that the Victorian Racing Club runs, which is bang in the middle of the Spring Carnival, Racing Carnival. But that's also mostly just been Australian milliners. They're starting to expand it now. So I think this is a little bit special. Maybe in years to come, if it is successful, we'll expand it to have more of an emphasis on hats and education and workshops for, maybe have a hat week or a little festival like Cussard does in France. But at the moment, we'll just take it slowly and see what happens.
And celebrate good hats.
Celebrate good hats.
So what can entrants look forward to taking away if they win with one of their pieces?
Well, as well as the wonderful prizes that we're giving away, we've also come up with an idea, and I've been emailing the people who have registered, that they send us half a dozen of their labels, the labels they normally put in their hats, and we are going to make some fantastic aprons with our logos, and we'll hand sew all the labels on, and the first and second prize will get one of the aprons, and we'll have a few on hand then to maybe use as gifts or as an additional prizes if we see fit at the time. So we're quite excited about that idea.
It's a very unique experience to have a collection of international milliners labels.
It will be,
on
won't
your own
it?
case.
And then you'll be able to keep that for years and see, well, I remember that young milliner when she did this competition way back in 2017. It's exciting.
And is there a forum for the pieces to be sold once they arrive?
That hasn't been completely thought through at the moment. I have asked the milliners if they would like to sell their pieces to let me know, because it's nice to show your hats off, but it's always nice to sell a piece. So what I plan to do is to have private viewing at my premises, my shop premises, for some of my special customers, to see what they think of these. Have a People's Choice competition, little award, and if anyone is interested in buying any of the pieces, I can then contact the milliners involved and see if they're interested in selling. So there is a chance to get your name on someone's head in Australia.
And for those who are international, can you describe what the Australian market is like and how it might contrast to someone else's?
The Australian market. Australians need hats to wear to protect them from the weather. It's always sunny in Australia. And we need to protect ourselves from the sun in the summer as well as in the winter. We also have a huge horse racing festival, one of the biggest in the world. It's extraordinary, the hats that we make for the Spring Racing Carnival. So there's a good market to sell a hat. In the area where we are now, it's also a large Jewish community, and there's quite a specific style of hat as well that our customers wear to synagogue. So something modern and sharp and cool and restrained is also a really good idea.
So it's quite a varied market.
Very varied market, yeah. And we also love the winter hats too, because it's a nice fashion statement on a miserable cold day.
So how can people stay up to date with what's happening with the competition?
We have a Facebook group that now has over 200 members. Not all of those members have registered yet, but I hope they will. So we're trying to just post information about how the planning is going for the event, how many people have applied, and also pass on a little bit of information about our sponsors as well. I don't expect it to be a huge hub of information like the Milliners Facebook group or anything, but it's just somewhere where people can come and visit and maybe see photos of the event and some of the hats that come in as well.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for allowing us to come into your store and speak about hats. Get your entries ready for the Melbourne International Millinery Competition. We look forward to seeing what you send in, and we'll keep you posted about any other opportunities coming up.
Thank you, Lauren. It's been a pleasure.